Chelsea hoping for a return to the top four. The bookmakers say pretty good chance they'll do it. 4-6. Craig, what do you think? Is that fair?
Look, it's about right. I mean,
bookmakers say they're going to make it. I mean, not by much. It's right there between them and Spurs.
Look, Tottenham haven't done a great deal either in the transfer window, but they've got continuity with players and coaching.
You give Chelsea the edge over Spurs?
No, I think I'm just going to go for Spurs at the moment, just because it's so much uncertainty at Stamford Bridge, and obviously the continuity Spurs have got, and Sarri's just in there. He's got a few problems already. Haven't been a great transfer window for them so far. So no, I can see some more Europa League football for them. And don't forget, they are playing on a Thursday night in Europa League, so it'll be Thursday, Sunday for them most weeks when the European competition is on.
I'm giving Chelsea the edge just here, and that is dependent on, as we've been seeing.
That's on the current squad.
On the current squad. They keep hold of Courtois and Hazard, as we've been seeing. I just give Chelsea the edge. My concern with Spurs is, as good as they've been over the last couple of seasons, there's been no freshening of the squad, no significant freshening of the squad, and you just wonder if that's going to start to tell. If maybe the lack of impetus maybe has an effect on the dressing room.
How many times in the last few years have we sat here and talked about Chelsea maybe just sneaking into the top four? I'll tell you, none.
Yep.
Most years we sit here and we talk about them being potentially champions.
Title debate.
It's a title debate, first or second. We talk about them spending big in transfers. We talk about them, having a go at the Champions League again. And we're sitting here having and I think rightly so, but we're sitting here having a conversation a bit like it's almost as if they've become a kind of Arsenal, where will they make the top four, and will that be a success? Now, I'm sorry for Roman Abramovich, that has never been a success. Right, getting in the top four might financially be better for them, but it's not a success, and it never has been for this manager, for this owner. I know the tide is turning. The stadium's been shelved, no matter what people say. And he's pulling the reins in financially. But this is a big turnaround from where Chelsea have been the last few years.
All right, thanks for sticking with us here on Extra Time. Hashtag FC Extra Time. We will find your questions on Twitter. Quite a few good ones today.
How do you stick with us?
Well, you watch the show, and then after the show ends, you stick with us.
You've not thought that one through?
No, I haven't thought that one. The show is in one place and Extra Time's in another, so you've sought us out somewhere.
On the podcast, Extra Time comes right after this show.
Shaka. It just takes a rocket scientist sometimes to figure out.
Oh, no.
Thanks for sticking
with us. Just have to listen to the podcast.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Shaka.
I hate these cheers.
You and them cheers.
But they've been upgraded.
We have holders on the side and everything.
Now. Shaka says these cup holders have been here for weeks. I swear it's the first day I noticed it.
Well,
fantastic.
You need to come to work some more then.
Yep. All right, Sharat wants to know, how far can Barcelona go this season despite losing creative midfielders like Xavi a while ago and Iniesta? What do you guys think?
How far in terms of what?
Champions League. Let's say Champions League. He doesn't specify.
Barca can make a better fist of the Champions League this time. I thought no way Roma were going to turn around that second leg, but they did. They expect them to be better. And then when you look at how good they were in the league, just one defeat to show in winning the title, and you still got Lionel Messi. Most importantly, yes, you lose Xavi, you lose Iniesta, but you've still got Lionel Messi, and you have Coutinho who will be available for both competitions. Barca are among the favourites, but they're not alone there.
Coutinho first full season. Arturo Vidal signed. Suarez, Messi. I know they've got a couple of older players at the back, but then their big rivals domestically have just lost 50 goals a season. That's an issue.
Hey, Raph, we'll bring you in here. What do you think about Barcelona's Champions League chances?
They'll be among the favourites. They're no longer the best or second or even third best team, I think, in the competition. So they have regressed. And I do worry about that lack of metronomic control that they've had in the centre. The emphasis seems to have shifted more to the final third. You can win that way, but I think it's more difficult, especially because Messi doesn't do a lot off the ball anymore. So I think it'll be tough for them to go all the way.
There's a word in metronomic by a man whose English isn't even his first language.
Raf's a smart guy. I'll give it to him.
There, look.
Look at that.
What can I say? Thank you very much.
Oh man, now Mexico still beat Germany in the World
I
Cup,
didn't
though,
say
right?
that.
So
I didn't say that. Let's move on. We don't need to,
that was, yeah, metronomic. That.
Craig, I think this one's for you from Luis. Are Scotland an average footballing nation, or is the Federation doing a lousy job with Scottish talent and not preparing the national team enough to qualify for major tournaments?
Yes, all of those.
Yeah,
All of the above. C, all of the above.
There's a few younger players coming through, actually starting to play at a higher level in Scotland. But they're playing regular for teams like Aberdeen and Hibs and some young ones at Celtic and Rangers. But it's going to be a long, hard slog, even with the 48-team World Cup.
Even with the 48 team, you think? It'll be tough for them to qualify?
Well, it'll be easier, but it'll still be tough for them.
Really?
Yes.
Cigar wants to know, who has the best dance moves in the crew? Also, did any of you celebrate your dance move on football field? Yeah.
Steve, I vote for Steve Nicol as the
Steve's just the most
ESPN
willing
FC
dancer.
dance champion.
That doesn't make him the best. The most willing doesn't make you the best.
Well, if there's only one competitor, you win. Look at that. Who can compete with that?
Well, Hamas showed us in the show.
Nobody's going to challenge Steve.
No, you're right. There's nobody that can do
And
that.
then I had no reason to dance on the field.
Hey, Rafa, what kind of dancer are you? Metronomically balanced, or?
I'm not going to show off now, if that's what you're asking. I haven't quite got the right attire south of the shirt either to stand up. So I'll leave that to your imagination.
Okay.
No, let's move on. Let's move on.
I've got to say, you know, when you go to weddings and stuff, that's not happening very often. And I would have to be absolutely blitzed out of my head
To get on the dance
to get on the dance floor.
Really? You don't even approach it?
Because it's just awful. I mean, I'll admit
When
it.
I had a few drinks, it feels good though. Like, yeah,
I'll admit it.
I'm sure
in
enough.
there, you're
Yeah,
feeling
I'm
good.
sure enough. Yeah,
The joints loosen up a little
Yeah.
Oh,
bit.
I'm
Look at
terrible
me.
dancer. Terrible.
These guys.
Yeah.
That and karaoke.
Oh, but karaoke, you're supposed to be bad. There's like an irony to it.
Well, I can be bad at that.
Yeah. Hey, this one's for Raf. Is there any chance any club other than Bayern will win the Bundesliga this season?
There is a chance. It's not a big one because Bayern's squad allows them to be not at 100%. They can win not playing that convincingly as they did with Ancelotti in charge the season before last. But I think the chances of the teams behind them have risen. I think we see a much improved Dortmund under Lucien Favre, who's a stickler for detail. Only today I read a piece where he's correcting his players about the positioning of their wrist when they control the ball. He is so obsessed with the smallest details you can imagine. And I think Domenico Tedesco at Schalke and Leverkusen as well should put up a decent challenge. So I think Bayern will have it harder this time.
Craig, any manager ever talk to you about the positioning of your wrists while controlling the ball? And what would your response have been?
I may have laughed.
Yeah. Come see me at this wedding. I'll
That
tell
would
you
have
exactly what you think.
That would have been a chat in the dressing room. That would have been a chat in the dressing room if somebody said that to you.
I don't know how you get as far as Bayern Munich with wrong wrists.
Yeah, right.
At some point, it's just.
So, I mean, I have
it's
to
too
say,
much.
when you're playing in front of 60,000 or 70, and you're playing in front of big crowds, and you're on TV and you're under pressure, and somebody's fizzing the ball at you, and because you know at the top level they really, fizz it into players at a good pace. I've never known anybody that's been thinking about the position of the wrist when they're trying to control the ball.
Almost to the point where it might be a distraction, right?
It would be.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's more worrying me, and Raf, what's your reasoning behind this unbelievable heat wave that they're getting in the UK at the moment?
My reasoning, I'm afraid it's not an isolated incident. It seems to be the new normal in Europe. Climate warning is real, and it's hit us, I think, much harder and much earlier than expected.
See that?
Don't know if there's a football angle to this. I'm thinking very hard if I can bring it back to football.
No, but it's a nightmare for you guys. It's a nightmare for you guys because nobody in the UK has air conditioning.
They don't. They don't.
Yeah, but listen. But listen, I mean, in relative terms, it could be a lot worse. Okay, I'd rather have slightly too much heat in London than the usual Great British Summer of law. So I think we are the lucky ones, one of the few lucky ones.
What is the Great Britain? I've never been to Britain.
No, I say that because it's almost been unprecedented. I was back in May; it was baking hot. My wife was back in June; it was baking hot, and it's still been baking hot. Now, as Raf said, if you get a week of good weather in a row and then it just rains the rest of the time, that's the norm. But nobody's prepared for it in the UK. Really? The houses are absolutely boiling because nobody. Here we've got air conditioning because it's the norm. Sorry to digress. It's a very important issue.
Yeah, no. It is an important issue, and that's what Extra Time is.
God knows what's happening to Marcotti in his house.
Yeah.
And that heat.
Sweating in that. Oh, yeah, he's on holiday. He was in...
Well, he's not, but he's been going a heat wave for about 2 months.
Yeah, so you can't escape the heat wave. All right, well...
you can if you come here. It's been raining.
Let me tell you something. Between that metronome and this weather forecast and global warming and air conditioning...
And this has been a
British Summer of Law. This has been the oddest extra time. And extra time, by its very nature, is
weird.
Just weird.
It's a weird place.
This has been the weirdest of the lot.
How many people are going to tweet now and say, stick to the questions? That's what you use.
Many.
Anyway, I don't care. Who cares?
Well,
you asking another one?
No, I think that's it.
Raf wants to go. It's late in London.
Yep. It's late and it's hot.
And he's sweating.
Let's put a wrap on it. Tomorrow's show will be perfectly metronomically balanced. That I can assure you. Make sure
I won't be here.
Miss it.
Nickels on. It'll be gastronomically balanced.
We'll get some of those dance moves tomorrow.
Well, thanks to me, I'm not here.
Munich CEO Karl-Heinz Rummenigge had this to say on Robert Lewandowski: with players, one must show a clear attitude. Lewandowski also wanted to move on, but we told him that we wouldn't allow it. Rummenigge continues, we are totally satisfied with the player. There are a few that compare to him in his position, and so it is not in our interest to hand him over, no matter if someone puts 100 million euros or 150 million euros on the table. Raf, are we really to believe this? 150 million euros, Lewandowski's not worth saying goodbye to for that?
Well, I think it's easy for Rummenigge to say these words because the offer of such magnitude has not been made. I think that this year Bayern perhaps would have been willing to listen for the first time if some kind of substantial bid would have come in from anyone, but it didn't. And, you know, once Lewandowski declared through his agents or sort of through sources close to him that he changed his mind, that he wants to stay at Bayern, you can rest assured there just wasn't that much interest for him, which is very much playing into Bayern's hands. They've used this to actually increase the pressure on him, saying, we think he's going to score more than 30 goals this year. And that, you know, if he wants to have more appreciation, as he said, we will show it to him by telling him just how good he is and how many goals we expect him to score, which is a lot. So they've kind of made it work in their advantage. But things can still change. Real Madrid can still decide that they want an out-and-out goal scorer now that Ronaldo is left, and that offer could still come in. It's his dream move. But it looks increasingly like as if he's going to stay, simply because there isn't anyone who wants to pay that kind of money.
Take a look at the odds to win the Premier League. Manchester City, no surprise. You're going to have to spend a lot of money to make any money. You're going to bet on City to be champions. Liverpool, Manchester United, and Chelsea, their top 4 contenders to win the Premier League. Chelsea coming in at 12-1. Reminder of what City has done in the summer transfer window. Riyad Mahrez, the big inclusion, £60 million coming over from Leicester City. Nobody really walking out that door except Yaya Touré, and he at 35 years old. So they've been really weakened at all. Maybe gotten a little bit stronger, Craig.
You've not quite got the tie rotation right, have you? Because yesterday everybody wore a tie apart from you, sorry to digress, and today you've come in with a tie, and clearly this is a no-tie day, it's a Friday.
Right. Well, I didn't, again, get the memo. Clearly I'm not in the inner circle here on the NFC bubble.
Man City, I would think...
Can they get back to 100 points?
I would think that's less of a concern for I don't think there's one person at Man City will be thinking about that. I think they'll be thinking about seeing off a potential threat from Liverpool who've spent well. They'll be thinking about prioritising the Champions League, which was a big disappointment for them last year when they were beaten comfortably by that Liverpool side over 2 legs. And obviously Riyad Mahrez has been the big signing. He will play, but how often is he going to play? People seem to think Raheem Sterling is just going to fall by the wayside. Raheem Sterling, Pep Guardiola likes Raheem Sterling. He played him more centrally. And so there's not been a big splurge in the transfer market, but he has obviously got a very good squad there to work with, and he's another year in the line of learning about his players.
But understandably, City not spending an awful lot. Spent a fortune last year, and we all have to abide by financial fair play at some point or the other. But as Craig says, City aren't going to be judging whether they get 100 points or not. They will be judging whether they win the league or not, and whether they improve on how well they do in the Champions League. And given some of the disruptions you've seen over the course of this summer, and maybe so far, and I know for most of Europe, there's still a long way to go in this transfer window. If City don't, at the very least, get to the semi-finals, I think it'll be seen as a disappointment. That's where their bar is now.
Boy, how time flies. We were just in the World Cup, and now Craig Burley and I are about to preview the Community Shield that's coming up this weekend. Craig, it's a tale of two different managers in different positions, rather. We could say Pep Guardiola already settled and comfortable at City, not much to prove. And then Maurizio Sarri coming in now to try and steady the ship at Chelsea after a bit of a tumultuous season. So how do these two approach a game like this?
Well, what we know is Sarri is going to try and get Chelsea playing in an attacking style. That's what he did at Napoli. To some success. Obviously they didn't win the Scudetto, but they were very attractive on the eye. He's going to try and do that at Chelsea, but obviously he's very late in because of the whole debacle about Conte, because everybody knew he was going. It was just when he was going to go. So the club pulled the trigger late, so he's late in. He's had problems with Willian in particular, who didn't pitch up when he should have done, and so there's been a drama there. There's still a chance that they could lose some players, i.e. Courtois and Hazard. The big question mark over Morata, his form after last year. So lots of questions for Chelsea and for Sarri. I think for City, just a little look at what most think will be a bit of a juggernaut, the same as last season. I don't really see anything that's going to change that. Who
do you think could use this title more? I mean, it's always good to start the season with a bit of silverware.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, at the end of it, let's be honest. None of the two of them give a stuff if they win it or not.
I'm trying to hype it up.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, you know, at the end of the day, there's a bigger picture here, and you know, I'm sure there'll be a full house, and you know, look, you do want to get off to a positive. As you see some of the results from before. At the end of the day, for Sarri, it's not so important because he's really trying to educate himself with what he's got, and obviously, once this game's out of the way at the weekend, there's only till the end of the next week when they can buy players. Obviously, they can lose players for a longer period, but they can only buy players until the Friday of the following week. So it's really a quick snapshot of what he's got and what he needs to try and get Chelsea competitive again.
All right, well, I know you still have a couple of ICC games to commentate on, but we have to ask you for a prediction for this one. We're already into the new season, and this pre-season's not even...
I thought you were going to ask me for a prediction on the ICC games
I've got
coming up. Depends whether they play the kids or not. Actually, Chelsea had a couple of young boys come through, one in particular who looks... And Sarri's already said he's including this young lad in the squad, and he might play, so excited about that. But I'm going for Man City because they're the strongest team in England at the moment, by far.
Fair enough. Thanks so much to Craig Burley. We'll make sure to stay tuned to see what that result is this weekend right here at ESPN. Craig Burley is joining me as a new season is upon us. That means there's only so much time left in the transfer window, and there's still some pretty big names floating around. The rumors, will they stay, will they go, should they stay or go? Craig's going to tell me what he thinks. Let's have a look at some of the names. I'm talking about Eden Hazard, Thibaut Courtois, Luka Modric, N'Golo Kante, Yeremina, etc. Let's start off with the ones related to Chelsea, Craig. Kante to PSG, and then, of course, the duo of Hazard, Courtois to Real Madrid. That's really nothing new. Do they eventually get these done?
Kante and Hazard go, they are officially swimming against the tide up the creek, and they're done.
Doing an Arsenal there.
They're Dunsville, new manager. That would be the biggest stitch-up a new manager's had at Chelsea for a long time if those two go before the end of the transfer window. Interestingly enough, I was with somebody who is close very close to Chelsea and has been for many years. I won't name him, but he described Eden Hazard as a playground player. You know, because he just doesn't get enough goals, and he doesn't do enough, and it's all very nice and tidy. I think that's a little harsh, but if he does go to Real Madrid, he will definitely have to up his numbers, because when you look at the goals that some of the boys are scoring over there, he's not even getting 20 a season. So, you know, that could be an interesting one. The Yeremini one is sort of come up. I think he's somebody that United have in the back burner if they don't get Alderweireld. I think they would rather get Alderweireld, but Mina, off the back of the World Cup, as a player that I know they're looking at, but I think they're looking at him in case he doesn't get probably his #1 target. I think that would be the case for him there. And
I know one that made all of us go, what, is still floating around, and that's the Luka Modric one to leave Madrid to go to Inter Milan. We spoke to Paolo Bandini, and he said, look, this is not as far-fetched as many people think it could be. What do you think of it?
There's only one word comes to mind when
Sell us.
Is why. Why? Unless he has a problem or an issue with Lopetegui, the new coach, or Real Madrid, then as good a club as Inter Milan are, they've been a million miles off winning the Scudetto, and so have AC Milan. But why? I mean, he's one of the first on the team sheet. Even when Ronaldo was at Real Madrid, Luka Modric was still one of the first players names on the team sheet. That's how good this guy has been. So why? Unless there's other issues rather than football, I don't see it. But if Paulo says it's floating around, it's floating around. But listen, there's lots of things floating around. Doesn't mean it's happening.
True indeed. Hopefully we'll see if any of these do happen or not anytime soon. Keep track of them right here at ESPN FC. It's not often we get Craig Burley in to talk about Arsenal, but we have to. So
we couldn't afford to fly Stuart Robson over just for this 2-minute segment. And Mara's away.
Mara's worked yesterday, so we've got to pick Craig's break.
He's too old, 1 day a week.
He's a little too fragile for this one. And he is actually very worried about Arsenal's upcoming season. He says an expectation for them, he expects them to just go back to how it was with Arsene Wenger, in the sense that their trophy will be just trying to get a top 4 spot. What would success be for Arsenal, in your opinion?
Success is going to be rejigging this squad. You know, okay, the answer would probably be 5th. Well, no. It's a difficult one. Success for them is getting in the top 4, right? But then we've moaned about Wenger saying top 4 success.
But they've fallen really far from
I know. And success for them is Unai Emery getting a grasp of this club and changing the philosophy and changing the squad and getting and rebuilding. That's going to be success. Now, on the face of it, you know, older players, Lichtsteiner, Papastatopoulos, or Socrates, call them what you want. Socrates and Mustafi as a centre-half partnership. I mean, do me a favour. Do you know what I mean? That's so. I would be slightly concerned if I was an Arsenal fan, but I would be a little excited as well. They've got a change of management. Signed Torreira from Sampdoria, the Uruguayan midfielder, very tenacious little player. There's talk about possibly Nzonzi coming in from Spain, a player that Unai Emery knows well, a player that I like, big and physical. I think good for the Premier League. He's had a spell at Blackburn, a spell at Stoke, a really good spell in Spain with Sevilla. And he looks, and if they get players like that, they'll give themselves a chance. But I don't think there's anything we've seen in this transfer window clearly to get super excited about Arsenal.
Well, someone that they still have, of course, is Mesut Ozil, and we know that he has been stealing headlines for the good, the bad, and the ugly, both for club and country in recent times. So how does Emery deal with this situation and try to get the best out of him? Because he's recently said that he thinks that Ozil can handle the captaincy at Arsenal. Would that be a good move?
I never put too much weight on this captaincy thing now, I have to be honest. I think Arsenal fans couldn't give a hoot who's captain. They just want players to perform. He's a big earner. He's coming off the back of a disappointing World Cup, a terrible World Cup. He's not alone. Listen, and all that blame and all that political stuff, just absolute nonsense. But he was awful at the World Cup, so were the Germans. He's got to put that behind him. It's a fresh start, and Unai Emery has to handle these players with a firm hand. So, you know, I don't think Ozil's got any other alternative than to show leadership and show quality. That's what he's getting paid to do. He's the highest paid player at the club. He's now got to get on with it. But he needs a supporting act around him, and that was the big problem under Wenger in recent years. He needs a supporting cast, and at the moment he hasn't got that.
All right, thanks so much, Craig Burley. So interesting times ahead for Arsenal. You can best believe that we will be tracking them to see how they do fare this season.